The top 11 greatest V8 engines of the golden muscle car era. It's 1970. A warm summer night in Detroit. The street lamps flicker as a low rumble echoes through the city. Suddenly, a Pontiac GTO roars past, its V8 singing a symphony of raw power as it fades into the distance. You can't help but smile. You've just witnessed the peak of an era, the zenith of American muscle. Fast forward to today, and we're counting down the top 11 V8 engines that defined that golden age. These weren't just power plants, they were the heart and soul of muscle car culture. So, pop the hood and let's dive into America's greatest automotive hits. 1. Chevrolet L88 427. Picture this. It's 1967, and Chevy decides to drop a nuclear bomb into the Corvette. That bomb, the L88 427. Officially rated at 430 horsepower. But here's the kicker. That number was as honest as a politician's promise. In reality, this beast was pushing closer to 500 horsepower. The L88 wasn't just an engine. It was Chevrolet's defiant answer to racing regulations. Built for the track, it transformed the Corvette from a sports car into a street-legal race car. With 470 lb-ft of torque, it had enough grunt to pull a freight train. But what made it truly special was its rarity. Chevy actively discouraged the average driver from buying it. No radio, no air conditioning, and a laughably small 80-quart radiator that would overheat in traffic. This wasn't a cruiser, it was a purpose-built warrior for the quarter mile. 2. Pontiac 389 Tri-Power. If the muscle car era were a movie, the Pontiac 389 would be the opening act that stole the show. In 1964, Pontiac dropped this fire breather into the GTO, and the world was never the same. With up to 368 horsepower, the 389 wasn't just powerful, it was versatile. Pontiac offered multiple versions, from a 4-barrel to the iconic tri-power setup with 3 2-barrel carbs. Whether you wanted a cruiser or a drag strip demon, the 389 had you covered. More importantly, the 389 democratized performance. No longer did you need a European sports car for speed. The average American could walk into a dealership and drive out with a street legend. This engine didn't just power cars, it sparked a revolution. 3. Ford 428 Cobra Jet. Ford wasn't going to let Chevy and Pontiac have all the fun. Enter the 428 Cobra Jet, a 7.0-liter monster that found its home in the 1969 Mustang Mach 1. Ford claimed it made 335 horsepower, but that was classic muscle car understatement. With 460 lb-ft of torque, the Cobra Jet could pull stumps and break records. Created to dominate NHRA superstock racing, Ford took their 428 Police Interceptor block, bolted on better breathing heads, a hotter cam, and an aluminum intake. The result? A street-legal rocket that could run the quarter mile in the mid-13ths, right off the showroom floor. And thanks to its underrated horsepower, it dodged insurance hikes and flew under the radar. A brilliant piece of corporate subterfuge wrapped in Detroit steel. 4. Dodge 446 pack. Dodge looked at the horsepower wars and said, let's just add more of everything. The result? The 446 pack, a 7.2-liter behemoth topped with 3 2-barrel carburetors. It delivered 390 horsepower and 490 lb-ft of torque, turning the Roadrunner and Super B into unhinged monsters. The genius was in the power delivery. The outer carb stayed closed until you really stomped the pedal, giving it decent around-town manners. But when those secondaries opened, all hell broke loose. Unlike the 426 HEMI, which was a finicky, race-bred animal, the 446-pack offered blistering performance without sacrificing street drivability. It was Mopar's ultimate, have your cake and eat it too engine. 5. Oldsmobile 455 Rocket. You might associate Oldsmobile with sedate cruisers, but the 455 Rocket was anything but tame. This 7.5-liter Titan, especially in W30 trim, delivered up to 400 horsepower and a mind-bending 500 lb-ft of torque. Engineered with forged internals and a high-lift camshaft, the 455 Rocket was built for battle. The W-Machine package added a fiberglass hood with functional air scoops that rammed cool air into the carburetor at high speeds. The 455 Rocket made the 442 W30 a true street and strip performer. It wasn't just fast in a straight line, it could handle curves and corners with surprising finesse. Oldsmobile proved it wasn't just Grandpa's brand anymore. 6. Pontiac 455 Super Duty, SD 455. Just when you thought Pontiac had peaked, they dropped the SD 455 into the 1973 Firebird Trans Am. It was Pontiac's defiant last stand before emissions regulations strangled performance. Rated at 370 horsepower and 500 lb-ft of torque, the SD 455 was more than numbers. It was essentially a detuned race engine, reinforced block, blueprint internals, and specially ported heads. In an era when muscle cars were being neutered, the Super Duty stood tall. It was a final roar, a street-legal protest against the end of true American muscle. Pontiac went out swinging, and the SD 455 remains a testament to that rebellious spirit. 7. Chrysler 426 HEMI. The elephant. The legend. The 426 HEMI needs no introduction. Found in icons like the Plymouth Cuda and Dodge Charger R/T, it was conservatively rated at 425 horsepower and 490 lb-ft of torque, though real-world numbers were often higher. Originally built for NASCAR, it was so dominant it was banned after 1 year. Chrysler's solution? Make it street legal. The HEMI's hemispherical combustion chambers allowed for massive valves and superior airflow. Its power band was broad, pulling hard from idle to redline. But it wasn't easy to live with. High maintenance and high cost meant only the bold dared to daily drive a HEMI. But those who did had the baddest engine on the block. 8. Ford 427 Camry SOHC. Sometimes, an engine is so powerful that even the manufacturer gets cold feet. That's the story of Ford's 427 SOHC Camry. With a race-tuned output of 616 horsepower and 575 lb-ft of torque, this single overhead cam beast was more explosion than engine. Developed as Ford's answer to Chrysler's HEMI dominance, the Camry was banned by NASCAR before it ever competed. It was just too powerful. Only a handful made it into street cars like the Fairlane Thunderbolt. But in the drag racing world, the Camry was a legend. Its rarity only added to its mystique. A glimpse of what could have been, had rules and practicality not gotten in the way. 9. Buick 455 Stage 1. Buick may have a genteel reputation, but in 1970, they unleashed the 455 Stage 1, a 7.5-liter torque monster that put out 360 horsepower and a staggering 510 lb-ft of torque. This wasn't a high-revving screamer. It was all about low-end grunt. The Stage 1 GSX could outrun just about anything from a red light, and do it with leather seats and air conditioning. It featured a radical cam, big valves, and a specially tuned Cobra Jet carburetor. This wasn't just another big block. It was a refined brute that combined Buick comfort with stoplight drag dominance. 10. Chevrolet 454 LS6. The king of the hill. The final word in the muscle car wars. The 1970 Chevrolet 454 LS6, found in the Chevelle SS, was the biggest, baddest V8 ever mass-produced. With 450 horsepower and 500 lb-ft of torque, it turned the Chevelle into a road-going missile. And unlike many of the others on this list, it wasn't rare or exotic. You could walk into a Chevy dealership and order one. It was built for abuse. Forged internals, solid lifter cam, 4-bolt mains. In stock form, it ran the quarter mile in the high 13ths. With a few tweaks, it dipped into the 12s, all while carrying your groceries in the trunk. The LS6 wasn't just a peak. It was the mic drop moment of the muscle car era. Nothing came after that hit harder. It was accessible, tunable, and terrifying, all in the best way possible. 11. AMC 390 V8. Often overlooked in the muscle car conversation, the AMC 390 V8 was a small block underdog that punched far above its weight. Introduced in the late 1960s, it powered legendary models like the AMX and Javelin SST. Rated at up to 325 horsepower and 425 lb-ft of torque, the AMC 390 was quick, durable, and surprisingly advanced. It used forged internals and a high nickel content block, giving it the strength to take serious abuse on street and strip alike. AMC engineers managed to extract exceptional performance despite having fewer resources than the Big Three. The 390 proved you didn't need a massive budget to build a serious muscle car, just smart engineering and guts. In the AMX, it delivered sub-14-second quarter-mile times, earning respect among drag racers and enthusiasts alike. The legacy lives on. And there you have it, the top 11 V8 engines that defined America's muscle car golden era. Each one a legend, a mechanical heartbeat of freedom and performance. These engines weren't about efficiency or refinement. They were about passion, noise, speed, and dominance. They captured the spirit of a time when Detroit ruled the world, and the road was the only dyno that mattered. Did we miss your favorite muscle car V8? Got a story about one of these monsters? Drop a comment below and let us know. Because in the world of American muscle, the legend never dies.